Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mr. Devontae. Topic that I'm going to be covering is Power Universe's new edition, Raising Kanan. Now, it's a couple of questions that you may have before watching the series. Was Kanan really always the savage person? Or was there a series of events that led to his character right now? Well, keep watching and you'll find out. You're probably wondering what I'm smoking on right now. This is a sour space candy made by a company, Green Post, from a store I got from a store I found in Hermosa Beach named Purple Haze. Now, enough of that. Let's jump right into it. So just a quick rundown of the main characters. I will be, you might see me looking this way or looking up for the screen, but that's because I took notes. I'm not going to remember everything that happened in the show at one point, so that's why I took notes, because each episode is an hour long. So this quick rundown of the characters and the actors. You got young Kanan, played by Makai Curtis. His mom, Rod Thomas, played by Patina Miller. Malcolm Mays, you might have seen him in Snowfall Season 1. He plays Lulu. My boy, London Brown, plays Marvin Thomas. You might have seen him in HBO's Ballers. You got Joey Badass, who plays Unique, and Haley Kilgore as Jukebox. So those are just the main characters who we're going to see the stories from. Alright, so first thing you see in episode 1 is Kanan getting into a fight with two older kids at the park. Now these two kids, they're trying to jack him for his money. This is Kanan's fault, because he shouldn't have been at the park, bragging about how much money he got. So these two older kids beat him up, rough him up a little bit, left him with a bloody mouth and everything. And they take him for his money. Now he tried to stand up and fight back. He tried to defend himself. Now remind you, these two older kids now, so it's not much that he can really do. You got Jukebox in the scene. She trying to fan for him, but they don't really respect her. She just a girl. She can't really do too much either, because these kids is also older than her. So next thing you see is Kanan run his home. Now the narration, when the scene is taking place, 50 Cent does the narration, by the way. He says, man, the hood ain't got no love for a motherfucker who run. Which is true. Because, you running from a fight, or you running after you get your ass beat, motherfucker, they automatically gonna look at you like you's a punk. Like you easy pickers, you's an easy come up. So he run home, go in his room, go in his bed. Mama come in, ask him, Kanan, what happened? He tells her he got jacked for his money. Two older kids, they bigger and they a lot stronger than him. She said, nah, I ain't having that. First of all, how do you know you had money anyway? He was running his mouth about it, but he shouldn't have. So she said, come on, we going back to the park. Before she do that, she take one of his socks. She take the batteries out of his remote control car. She filled that sock with the batteries. They go to the park. She hand him the sock full of batteries. She said, it's either them, you either deal with them, or you gotta deal with me. You ever had that? When you get into a little fight with one of the kids down the block, and you come back home to your mama, you done lost the fight, or you ran away from the fight, and your mama say, nah, you either gonna fight them or you either gonna fight me, and she sends you out to go fight them. You better choose wisely. You better choose not to deal with your mom, right? So he take the sock full of batteries and he go over there to the kids that just beat him up. And they're like, hey man, what's good? Like, man, we just handled you. Like, why you back over here? Without hesitation, no words. This motherfucker take that sock and he just swing on her. He just swing on homie. Man, it was some violent shit. Now, after he get done swinging on the first kid, he go to the second kid, the other one that swing on him. Now this kid is like backing up. He don't want to have nothing to do with Kanan no more, because he see right now that Kanan ain't really a little punk that they thought he was. He like, yo, hey man, Kanan, chill out, man, I'm sorry. Kanan ain't listening. Kanan take that sock, hit his ass too. He end up on the bench. Now they in like full surrender mode now. Both of these kids. Kanan don't give a damn because he got to teach them a lesson, right? So he take that sock of batteries and he just keep on hitting the motherfucker while he laying down on the bench covering himself. And all while this is happening, his mama Rock is looking on smoking a cigarette, proud because she ain't raising no little punk. Now that right there, I can tell you, is what all mothers want, to not raise no little punks. All right, so after that scene is done, it fast forwards to Kanan's high school days, where the story takes place when he's in high school. So you see him in the office. He's talking with his principal, alongside with his mom. Kanan is doing well at school. We learned that Kanan is actually a really smart kid, growing up in a lower income community, going to a bad school. So you got people looking out for Kanan. Now his mama Rock is really looking out for the young kid, because she didn't have the same opportunities that he had when she was growing up. Now, just like most parents, they want us to have a better life that they had. They don't want children to have to suffer like they did. Kanan can't see that shit. They trying to get him to go to a better school, but he don't want to do that. He want to stay. Reason being, maybe because his friends is there, probably won't be too comfortable moving to a new situation. Whatever the case may be, he doesn't want to leave his current situation to go to a better one. So Kanan gets signed up for an admissions test so he can get into that new school, right? So him and his mom, they leave the office after talking to the principal. Rock have a little talk with him in the hallway. She said that she was actually smart in high school, just like he was. Very smart. Has a great interest in astrology or cosmology, either one of those things. But she wasn't afforded the same opportunity that he has. So she telling him, hey, you better take this, because you don't want to end up like how I did. She had to get it out the mud. She had to get her money the hard way, which we all know, she's a drug dealer. We get an introduction to Jukebox. So, of course, if you watched the Power series before, you learn that Jukebox is Kanan's older cousin. Tough as nails. One of the toughest people that you know. Female. Always been able to sing. Now, during the narration, he said, hey man, don't let the singer voice fool you. She just as tough as one of these dudes out here on the streets. Which we do learn that in this episode that is very true. Now, we get introductions to these other characters. We get introduction Jukebox, Kanan's crush, Davina, who they claim to be the finest girl in the school. Kanan has known since second grade and always had a crush on her, but she never gave him the time of day. Now, right off the top, you're probably thinking, man, he get too close to her, man, that might be his downfall. We'll talk about that later. Davina, she dealing with this dude, Buck 20. Kanan don't really like it. Now that little beef or that little dislike that they have for each other, it's gonna play out later on in the same episode. So we meet a couple of people in Kanan's crew. We got D-Wiz, which is his best friend, and you got Famous, who's one of his friends that's trying to be a rapper, but they say he sucks. So that's basically what really happens there. Up next, cut to the next scene. It's a hospital scene. One of Rock's mans had got shot on the street. So we get an introduction to a few characters. We get an introduction to Lulu, which is Rock's younger brother, and her right-hand man. He sort of got a laid-back vibe, personality about him. And we also get an introduction to her older brother, Marvin Thomas, who was supposed to be where she is, but he proved that he couldn't handle the pressure. He couldn't lead them into the right direction. So he, sort of got like a nonchalant personality. He don't really care about too much, but he's tough, he's loyal, always looking out for family. Excuse me, first gotta look at my notes. So in this scene, we do learn a couple of things. We learn who her competition is, what's happening out on the streets, and what they gonna do about it. So her competition is unique. That's like her nemesis. And I almost did forget, we do get an introduction to a character named Scrappy, who is also one of Rock's people. Now, it doesn't come off as he has that important of a character, but we can see alone in the story how his actions or how his behavior has like some important consequences, right? But we'll get to that in later videos. So Rock soldiers and Unique soldiers, they got into a heated dispute, which turned into a shootout over dispute. It's a dispute about some territory. That happens all the time in the drug business. All right. So after that, Rock and Lulu head to a club to go meet with the club owner. His name is Hugo. Hugo's not there. They meet the bartender. Bartender's name is Symphony. Symphony and Rock, they just a couple minutes later, they develop an interest for each other. Before that happens, Rock has a conversation with this lady named Nicole. Now Nicole is there because Hugo isn't there. So she claims that any business that comes to Hugo, she can handle. She's like, oh, this is what she tells Rock. She's like, oh, you're that drug dealer. She straight up disrespects Rock in front of her face. Dog. She tell Rock, oh man, your stuff is stepped on. Your stuff ain't pure. Now yo, basically like your product ain't no good. We gonna do business with someone else. We don't need you no more. Rock is like, oh word? Bitch, I ain't the one to fuck with. I'm gonna be here because I said I'm gonna be here. Now, one thing you don't want to do to drug dealers is disrespect their shit. Because to a drug dealer, their reputation is everything. Their product, they want to let you know how tough they are. Just everything. Do not disrespect their reputation in any way, shape, or form, or they go show you why not to, right? Now, Nicole has a dog. May come up as offensive to anyone, to some people, but we all know how important animals are to white people. Rock looks at this dog. That plays a factor later on in the episode, and I'll get to that later. All right, so let's fast forward after that scene. The whole family, they meet up at this place called Lamont's Diner, where they meet every Wednesday night. So everyone's there. Lulu, Marvin, Rock, Jukebox, and Kanan. They having a good time. They having dinner. Famous and his sister comes in. Her name is Jessica. Yes, excuse me. Her name is Jessica. Jessica, Lulu, they develop an interest. I'll get to how that happens. So let's fast forward to after the dinner. So after the dinner, they all chilling outside. They talking business. Marvin Rock is talking business. Lulu trying to get with Jessica. So, and everyone is having like their own separate conversation. So while while Rock and Marvin are talking business, they talking in codes because they don't want people getting into their stuff. While that's happening, Kanan is listening on. You can see him listening on, like he trying to learn something, or he knows like what they talking about. We'll get to why that's important later. When that's happening, I don't know where this car pulls up. Marvin spots it. Any car that pulls up on you at nighttime without their headlights on is dangerous. So when Marvin spots this car, he like, yo, everybody get down. The car, somebody in the car fire off some shots. But they don't point the gun at anybody. They just point the gun, boom, boom, shoot it in the air. That's a message right there. That's just to get your attention. We learned later that was Unique's people. He takes full credit for what happened that night. It's some things you gotta learn right there, right? But like what I took from the scene is Unique and his people is telling Rock, hey yo, we can catch you anytime. We know where you be at. You out here slipping on these streets. Don't let us catch you doing it again. Now, man, it's a lot to take away from just that small action right there, because they don't have no soldiers with them, no bodyguards, no type of protection whatsoever, right? Rock, Marvin, Lulu, the three main people from that organization just out in the open and exposed, nobody to protect them, slipping hard. Now this was all over unclaimed territory. So Unique, he claims that Rock's people was out of line because Rock sent her people up there to go do business on the corners without checking with anybody first to see if they had those corners locked down. But I just find it kind of ironic because Unique's people ended up over there too to try to do business. They get into it with each other. Unique's people start busting, and one of Rock's peoples get hit. So during this meeting, they discuss who's gonna take which corners. Oh, I'm gonna take this corner. Unique wants all of the corners, and Rock says no. I'm gonna just give you this, and he's like, all right, that's cool. So that should be the end of the dispute and just any disagreement that they had about the territory right there. Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna get to that later. So fast forward to the next scene. The next scene takes place in Nicole's apartment. I introduced Nicole earlier. She's the white lady that was at the club that disrespected Rock and her shit. So like I mentioned earlier, Nicole has this dog, right? So Nicole is getting her cheeks clapped by some dude. I don't know if it counts as her getting her cheeks clapped because she was on top, but that, anyway, they was having sex. They was smashing. So while they were smashing, she like, hey yo, she tell the dude, hey yo, you smell that? She smells something burning in her house. She smells something cooking. Yo, somebody snuck into her house while she was fucking, and they put her dog in a microwave. Yo, man, how smooth you gotta be to pull that off, man? Man, we know who it was. We not stupid. We know it was Rock. We saw the look that she gave that dog earlier in the show. We know who it was. But that's just to send a message. Just like earlier, it's all about sending messages. You gonna respect me. You gonna respect me and my reputation. Don't mess with me, or I'm gonna show you why I'm not to be messed with, right? All right. So we passed that. Next scene, or a couple scenes later, I forget. We see Kanan go inside the school to take his exam so he can get into that better school that his mom been trying to get him into. Dog. He goes into this exam. He takes maybe a couple of the questions seriously. Then he just thinks like, man, do I really want to be in that better school? Or do I want to be out here and try to prove myself to be a tough person, try to be out on the streets? Do I want to get into the game just like my mom? So he chooses to mark all the answers B. He get done maybe 5-10 minutes, I don't know the timeline, but he gets done in a short period of time and just leaves. Completely bombs the test on purpose. Then he meet up with his friends at this pizza place. He meet up with D-Wiz, Famous, and a couple more people in their group. We haven't learned their names yet. So D-Wiz is Kanan's best friend, like I mentioned earlier. D-Wiz tell him, hey yo, I seen Buck 20 on one of your mom's corners. I haven't told y'all yet, but Unique put Buck 20 on, so Buck 20 is now at is part of Unique's crew, right? So what actually is happening is Buck 20 is on one of the corners that Rock had gave Unique. Kanan and D-Wiz, they don't know nothing about the meeting that they had. They don't know how Unique and Rock settled their dispute. They don't know that Rock gave Unique that corner that he can do business on. They beef is supposed to be squashed. But these two young dudes think they know every damn thing. Now, look, I just want to say something, man. I just want to say this real quick. We all got that one friend or person that we know that does very, very well in school. They get all A's, they do well on the tests, they study a lot, they seem very educated, right? Very smart. And they just think they know everything. Cocky, arrogant, right? So you might even call them a narcissist. What they teach you in school, they can't teach you on the streets. They're not going to teach you the rules of life. It's not even just the streets, just life in general. They're not going to teach you how to conduct yourself in life. They don't know that there are certain codes, that there are certain lines you don't cross. There are certain things that just shit that you don't do, right? Because every action has a consequence, my dude. Bro, you got to learn that when you out here, when you go out into this real world, that there's a certain way you got to conduct yourself. You can't go out into this world thinking that you know everything about everything, because you don't. You absolutely don't. You don't know shit. Just because you got all A's in school, you did well on every test, man, you graduated top of your class, that don't mean you can go out into this world thinking that you know everything and you can act how you want to act, because people ain't gonna have that shit. That stuff is not gonna fly at all. So like I said before, teenage Kanan is arrogant, know-it-all, think he know everything. He want to prove himself to be tough. His whole time his mom telling him, yo, I don't want you part of this game. She telling him, yo, you don't know nothing about this life. I've been in this game. You stick to these books. I'm going to stick to the streets. I'm going to get this money out here on the streets so you can have a better life, because I don't want you to deal with what I'm dealing with. Kanan ain't trying to hear none of that. Nah, I want to be out on these streets. I want to be just like you, Mom. So what he do? Him, D-Wiz, Famous, and the rest of their crew, they get some heaters and they go confront Buck 20. It's a few more other guys that's part of Unique's crew that's on the corner doing business. They go confront Buck 20. Now, it wasn't really like a big confrontation. Just say, hey man, what you doing on my mom's block? D-Wiz and Kanan, boom, they start shooting at him. They fired off maybe about 5, maybe even 10 shots. They only hit this dude once. They not sure who hit him. And once you pull that trigger, you in the game now. There ain't no turning back, man. That's a decision that you made, and now you gonna have to deal with that for the rest of your life. So now, Rock got a big problem on her hands. She got to deal with this mess that she thought she had already resolved because of her stupid ass son. Whole family have a meeting at Rock's house. Rock had to stop a date that she had with Symphony, the bartender at that club, because it was about Kanan. She thinking Kanan in some serious trouble. Nah, he just killed some damn body, right? So she go and talk to him. She asked Kanan, like, why do you do that? Like what are you doing? Like, I told you, you know, you're not a part of this game. You don't want none of this. What are you doing? They was on your corners. I can't have them disrespecting you like that. She tell him, motherfucker, I gave him those corners. What he say? Oh, I didn't know. You didn't know? Exactly. Exactly, you don't fucking know. So stop doing shit. Bro, the whole time I was watching that scene, I was like, man, why don't she slap this little motherfucker? Because his ass is out of line. He get a little bit disrespectful too, you know, not watching his tone. He telling her, you know, why you didn't send me up there to go live with grandma? There's better schools up there. If you really wanted me to do better in life, if you really wanted me to be safe, if you really wanted me to go to a better school, you wouldn't send me up there to go live with my grandma. But you kept me here for some reason. Ooh. I don't know about y'all, but you talk to a black mother that way, it is game over. That's your ass, bro. You might as well, you know, go ahead and write your own eulogy. Okay, so later on, after that scene is over, she sent him out to go take the trash can out. Before he go outside, she tell him, you know what? You was right. I shouldn't have kept you here, so I'm going to send you to your grandma's house. So, there's a specific action that happens that prevents that from coming true. While Kanan is taking the trash outside, Unique's people pulls up. This is the same day as the shooting that happened with Buck 20. The same day. Everything happened in the same day. They pull up. Pop, 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 pop. I don't know. Just light that motherfucker house up. They trying to get his ass. Because you know, the crew seen him. Unique's crew seen him. They seen him pull out that gun and fire shots at Buck 20 early on that day. They know that Kanan is Rock's son. They know where to find Rock. So he don't get hit. Thank God he don't get hit. So after that happens, we get an introduction to Detective Howard. So this Detective Howard, veteran detective, just thinks he's a badass cop and everybody has to answer to him, right? He ain't stupid. He know that Rock is a big time drug dealer, and we learn that once we get introduced to him. He's like, you know, so your son in the game now, I guess. She like, you know, I don't know what you talking about. As a drug dealer, man, as a criminal, you can't be giving yourself up. So you gotta have smart conversations with them, with police officers. Right? So the rest of the family come over, they check on Kanan, they check on Rock, make sure everything is all right. Her brothers, they talking, Lulu and Marvin, they telling her, hey, this kid pulled that trigger, so he a part of the game now. And they gonna be coming after him, and they gonna be coming after him hard, because what he did was out of line. This dude killed somebody, right? And they told her, you know, it ain't nothing you can do to protect this dude. So might as well put him in the game. So Rock and Unique, they set up another meeting. In this meeting, Unique is telling Rock, yeah, that was my people that tried to kill your son. She telling him, my son is not to be touched. Maybe we can work out a deal or whatever. He said, nah, we can't do that. Either I'm going to take every single corner that you got, and I'm going to do my business like that, or we can get your son Kanan. We can kill him. Either way, either one she don't want to do. And she don't take either option. So now, it's just basically going to be a full-out war. Rock versus Unique. All over some stupid shit that Kanan did. So, at the end of the episode, Rock takes Kanan out to a beach, give him a gun, and they practice shooting it. That's basically the end of the episode. She telling him he a part of the game now, and he gonna have to learn how to protect himself. Right, so that's the end of that. So, now let's fast forward to episode 2. Episode 2, it starts out with Kanan and Rock sitting at the table, they eating breakfast, getting ready for school. This is only a couple of days after the incident where Kanan got shot at, but he was taking out the trash. Now, Rock is fearless. She ain't scared of that damn thing. That's what we learned in episode 1. The only thing that she does fear for is for Kanan's life. She telling him, yo, be careful. You'll keep your eyes open when you're out there because I don't want you to end up dead. This dude, this little motherfucker, still arrogant, still think he know every damn thing. I'ma be alright. Like, yo, Kanan, you ain't alright, son. Like, bro, you just got shot at the other day. They almost caught you slipping. Thank God you didn't get hit, man. You could have been dead somewhere, yo. Like, what are you thinking to where like you can just go out on these streets and ain't nothing gonna happen to you after you done what you did? You think you gonna be safe? Come on now. They know where you stay at. They know where you hang out. They know where your moms be. What makes you think that you safe? Now, after they had a breakfast, Kanan goes out on the sidewalk. I'm guessing he's waiting on a bus or something to pick him up so he can head to school. Now, another car pulls up. This is broad daylight. Another car pulls up on the street real slowly. Like they creeping, right? Rock is looking out the window. She can see this car. She's scared to death. Because she thinking, damn, they go get my baby this time. This time he ain't safe. I'm about to lose him. She called for Kanan. Oh, scared. Kanan. He turned around. You see this car. You see this dude. I don't know why they had this black dude. He got on a beanie. I don't know why they made him look like a criminal. All he do is he threw out a book. Book landed on the street. Thank God there wasn't no shooters. She come out the house, still scared. You can tell that her heart still beating fast. Still pumping fast. I'm gonna take you to school, Kanan. When Kanan get to school, he see this fight break out between that girl Davina that he had a crush on since 2nd grade and this other girl. They fighting over some stuff that was said about Buck-20. Now let me remind you, Davina was messing with Buck-20 around it before he had got killed. And there was this other girl who was also messing with Buck-20 the night before he got killed, apparently. So they in the hallway, they scrapping, they fighting. Davina, she beat the shit out this girl, right? Now, after the fight happened, that's when Kanan learned why they was really fighting. Jukebox said something, man, I wouldn't be fighting over no dead dude. Like, what's the point of that? You can see, like, the regret in his face, or you can see some type of concern. And really, not too long after that, Kanan goes to visit Davina when she's waiting outside of the principal office. He trying to get like real close to her, which I believe can backfire on him later on because of Davina's connection with Buck 20 and Buck 20's connection with Unique. But we'll see how that plays out in later episodes. So we learned that Davina got a tough life because her mom is a crackhead. It's really like the end of that right there. So fast forward, Rock and Unique, they meet up. They talk about what really happened to Buck 20 or who did what to Buck 20 is heating up. Everybody's saying, oh, Kanan did it or D Wiz did it because it was two of them who fired some shots at Buck 20. Buck tells her that, hey man, not Buck. Unique tells her that Buck got people on the south side, and his people is going to want to hit back. Now he can't really control that. So he's saying, basically there's nothing he can do about that. He said his people is going to be coming after Kanan, and Buck's 20 people is going to be coming after Kanan. Basically, the whole hood know that Kanan and D Wiz had shot Buck 20 that day. But D Wiz, he not really getting like a whole lot of credit for it because people don't really know him on the streets like that. They know who Kanan is because Kanan is Rock's son. They don't know who D Wiz is really. But D Wiz, he wants credit for that murder. He wants credit for that body, but Kanan's getting that attention. Like almost like he got something to prove to somebody, right? So what happens after that? The scene cuts to Marvin when he first meets Symphony inside of the club. Now, there's something that takes place that's a great setup for what happens at the end of the episode. Marvin goes to the club where Hugo is at, that Nicole is now at, and he wants to go up there. He wants to set up a party, right, for the next day. So he goes there. He meets Symphony. He talks to Symphony. Hey man, you the dude that's been bumping uglies with my sister Symphony. Like, man, don't worry about that. He tried to get tough with Symphony. Symphony don't back down. Symphony earns Marvin's respect. Then after that, Marvin go back into the office with Nicole. They have a little chat. They set up the party for the next night, and everything's cool. All right. So Rock and Lulu, they run into Famous and they run into D outside of a store. Now Rock and Lulu, they trying to rent out the store so they can move the stash into there because they don't want to be in that old house that they've been in. They say they've been in there for too long, so they want to have a cover for their business. They want to have a business front, so to speak, so where they can clean money. So outside the store, before they go in, Lulu and Rock, they talking to D and Famous. Lulu hand them over some money. Hey man, here's for lunch. And something strange, takes place. The nonverbal communication in this is top notch because D Wiz can't even look at Rock. Rock already been hearing that D Wiz was with Kanan when they fired those shots at Buck 20 and killed him. So she looking at him. He looking down. He's scratching his head. They have a little chit chat, back and forth. She asked him, how Moms is doing. He like, oh, she doing good, but she kind of sad because his brother back. Now, Rock already knows his brother was a troublemaker. So that's really like the end of that scene right there. So let's cut to Marvin taking Kanan and showing him where the stash is. So that's where Kanan is going to be placed every day after school. This is his after school job, so to speak. So Kanan, So Kanan goes to the stash. Marvin is telling him, hey man, you're going to be looking over all of the product. Scrappy over here is going to teach you how everything works. That's not what's really happening. What's really going on is Rock wants Kanan to be at the stash because Unique and his crew don't know where the stash is. They don't know where the house is. So she keeping him there to keep him protected and to also keep him off of the streets so he can prevent from doing something else stupid. Right? So, but Kanan don't know that yet. He learned that later. He going around the house, he's snooping through stuff. He go down to the basement. He try to open it, but it's locked. Scrappy look at him like, yo, man, what you doing? He like, man, I'm supposed to be learning about how everything work around here. Don't you think you want to show me this if I'm going to be part of the gang? Scrappy basically tell him, yo, you don't already know, do you? Like, man, you real clueless right now. Kanan's like, what you mean? He said, you not here to learn about nothing. I'm here to babysit you, to look after you. Your mom put you here so you won't be out on the streets. Bro, as soon as he hears that, you can just see like the most dumbfounded look that he got on his face. He just like, yo, like I'm really not here to like learn something, to like really be out in the game, because he want to be out in the streets. And that right there just proves like what I mentioned earlier. Like, just because you smart in the books don't mean that you smart about life and you smart about these streets. You're not gonna learn about life what you learn in these books. So I don't want to take up too much more time, so let me just get down to it. So let me just get to the most important stuff. So later on, Kanan, he confronts his mom about his situation with being at this house. She said, yes, of course I did that to keep you safe and to keep you off of these streets to doing something else, and also to see if you would listen, because you gotta learn everything about the game if you go be in it. You gotta learn how to follow if you gonna lead. So that happens. So while she's telling him this, she's getting ready for the date. Now, this is the night of Marvin's party that he's throwing at the club. So I forgot something. Let me backtrack. So before this goes down, Rock, she checks in with Marvin to make sure everything is good with the party. So Marvin, Lulu, and Rock, they all at the table at Rock's house. They having this is a small conversation. So he tells her, everything good with the party. We about to turn this motherfucker out. She turned to Lulu. You gonna have to get your Reggie Jackson on. Now, for those of you who don't know Reggie Jackson, this is not the NBA player who plays today. This is a reference to the legendary baseball player Reggie Jackson. Again, this just goes to show how great the writing is and how this person knows culture. And in black culture, when it's time to do some clutch stuff, we all know what clutch is, in this situation. We often refer to clutch athletes, i.e. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, in this case, Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, clutch performer, is known as Mr. October, and he's known for hitting stuff. The word hit, we'll get to that later on. Now, the whole planning, let me go ahead. Let me skip ahead now. The planning that Lulu and Rock did was just perfect. Almost perfect, and I'm gonna tell you why. So Rock, she's taking Symphony out on a date. Symphony had already seen Lulu when Rock and Lulu went to the club to meet with Hugo that night. So they go out on a date. Rock, she tells Kanan to invite D-Wiz over because she just rented New Jack City. She wants them to, watch it together. So Kanan will have something to do that night. D-Wiz heads over. Cut the D-Wiz heading over. D-Wiz is heading over to Kanan's house. Lulu picks him up. Lulu picks him up on the street. D-Wiz is like, yo, no, I'm going to Kanan house. We about to go watch New Jack City. Lulu said, "Hey, Kanan not gonna even be there. He gonna be at the party at the club, man. Hop in with me and let's head to the club." Now, Lulu believes that nobody saw him pick up D-Wiz, but jukeboxing it. Now, which I think can be an important piece later on in the series. We haven't seen it yet within the first 4 episodes, but could be important later. So, Lulu promises to show D-Wiz the time of his life. They head to the club. They get a big party. Of course, Symphony not there. Symphony is the bartender for the club. Symphony is out on a date with Rock. Now this is what happens at the club. They start partying. Lulu, he's showing, he like he said, he's gonna show D-Wiz a good time. He get D-Wiz a hooker. They go in the bathroom, they go in the stall, and he start clapping cheeks, right? So after that is over with, they leave the club. They see Marvin outside. He getting into a fight with somebody. That's just like a separate confrontation that he had with somebody. So D-Wiz he like, "Hey yo man," they jumping Marvin. Like, let's go and help him out. Usually, like when somebody jumping your brother, Lulu and Marvin are brothers. Usually when somebody is jumping up on your brother, you want to go and help him out. You ain't. He say, Marvin can handle himself. So they head on out. Lulu take D-Wiz to an alley where they taking the lead together, man. D-Wiz is going on about how he had a good time, man. Hey man, Kanan missed out. Kanan didn't show up to the club, by the way. Kanan missed out, man. I had the time of my life. Lulu put out a gun. He pointed at the little boy. You could see how sorry he is about this. Just like in his face. Remember when I told you, like, the nonverbal communication and the acting in this show is phenomenal, dude. Amazing. You can see it in his face. Like, he takes a few seconds and pauses. D-Wiz is like, "Yo man, what's going on, Like, what are you doing?" He's scared for his life. Lulu don't want to do it, but he got to do it. He got to do it. So he pulled that trigger, blow his brains out in the alley where nobody can see. Now, remember I was telling you, the whole planning of this was smart. Rod takes Symphony out on a date. Symphony was supposed to be working that night, but he called in sick. She take him out on a date because he had already seen Lulu. He knows Lulu's face. Symphony is sort of aware about the business that Rock and Lulu are involved in. So, if he was to have seen Lulu and D-Wiz at the bar and heard about D-Wiz's murder, he could be questioned. He could be questioned, and he could point out, "Hey, I seen D-Wiz hanging out with that dude that night. I seen him hanging out with Lulu." So now Lulu's getting questioned. So why not just cut off a potential witness right there? And one more thing, Marvin is clueless as to what's happening too. He hasn't seen D-Wiz, and he hasn't seen Lulu that night either. So we're taking D-Wiz away from the situation, away from the fight that was happening outside between Marvin and a couple of dudes. That would stop Marvin from seeing them together that same night. Like, again, Marvin is clueless as to what's going on. That Reggie Jackson reference, that hit that I was telling you about, that was a reference to the hit that Lulu was supposed to do on D-Wiz that night. Okay, so that part of the story is done. So let's go back to Kanan. So he still he kind of worried about D Wiz. He called D Wiz's mama, hey man, is he home? Not home. He left, a couple of hours ago to go see you. So he a little worried. So he see Davina coming down the block. He go outside, he talked to her for a little bit. She start questioning him. She asked him, like, what really happened that day with Buck 20. Because she knows that Kanan and Buck 20 are not the closest of friends. She's hearing word on the street that Kanan and D Wiz had shot Buck 20. So she want to know the truth. She questioned him, like, what really happened? He don't tell her the truth. But he's still, trying to get close to her because he had a crush on her or whatever. Which, to me, I think is a completely wrong move, dude. Like, this chick could be your downfall. But we'll see how that plays out later on. Now, with Lulu killing D Wiz, there are some lessons that you have to learn right here. When you out in the game, when you in the game, your feelings, your emotions, your relationships, your connections with people, they don't really mean nothing, dog. They don't. Because once you do something that ain't right, once you slip up, you don't conduct yourself properly, once you cross that line, all of that could be taken away. And what happened right here, D Wiz lost his life over some stupid shit that he did because he thought that he knew everything. You always gotta remember, there's consequences to your actions. Good or bad, there will be consequences for your actions. Now, I don't know where I left it at in my notes. So here are some things to look forward to in future episodes. How will Kanan and Davina's relationship play out? Will they develop something good, or will she ultimately be the downfall of Kanan? Also, I think I forgot to talk about it. We do learn that Detective Howard is a dirty cop, so we're going to see what factor he plays later on. The aftermath of D Wiz's death, and I know I forgot to talk about this topic. Marvin's interest that he develops for Nicole. So those are some topics to look forward to, or something that you want to keep in mind when you watch future episodes. So excuse me if I was stuttering, stumbling, or just didn't talk to you correctly. I am getting used to it, so I got to get better at speaking to you guys, but just bear with me.